Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. I would like to share that our chair, Shelley Foster, has sent regrets, and she has delegated Jennifer Knight to chair for this evening. So to Jennifer.
So good evening. Welcome back, everybody. The new year. We're calling this meeting to order. Do you have anyone who knows who's absent?
Sorry.
Mary, right? Okay. The absent tonight. And Shelley also be absent, obviously. So that
Jasmine.
and Jazzy. Okay. So we have regrets for those three. All right. Now we will view the acknowledgement of our traditional territories.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe-Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
So on to item number number 3, sorry, the approval of the agenda. I do have one change. May I have a motion that the correspondence from the Sawubona Afrocentric Circle of Support regarding the appointment of new representation on SEAC be added as item number 8.3. Thank you. Do I need a second for that? Oh, thank you. And a second. Perfect. Thanks.
Sorry, I can't see that. Move on.
Oh, here we go. Need a seconder?
Yeah.
Okay, go. Okay, are there any other additions or comments for the agenda for tonight? Nope, okay. So all in favor of that motion? Passed. So I guess that's that motion. Now we need to motion that the Special Education Advisory Committee approves the agenda of September 18th, 2024 as amended. So I need a thank you. And a seconder. And then all in favor. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we have Trustee Clark.
Yeah.
There first, and I'm super sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. There are no. Oh, sorry. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest here tonight? Being around the room, I see no raising their hand. Okay. Approval of the minutes. So do we have for discussion first?
Let me send them.
I'll approve the agenda.
Yes.
She's doing this.
Are there any changes or additions or anything we need for the? Yes, go ahead. Mark.
On item 13 on page 5 in the third line, and we remove will also.
Any other comments or changes? We're okay with that change? So can I motion that Special Education Advisory Committee approve the minutes as amended on of the June 18th, 2024 meeting?
13.
Okay, we have
Susan.
Trustee Benjamin and seconder. Trustee Ellis. Number 6, we are on the delegations and public questions, and there are no delegations for this evening. So that brings us to our reports from officials and staff. We'll start with the superintendent's report. So I'll ask the superintendent to present her oral report for item 7.1.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Knight. I hope this message finds all of you well and ready for the 2024-2025 school year. My name is Claudine Scucato, the Superintendent of Special Education, and I am both honored and excited to welcome you to the first meeting of the year. Your dedication and commitment to supporting students with exceptionalities and their families are truly commendable, and I look forward to closely working with you to advance our shared goals with a renewed commitment to collaboration and transparency. This year, we are pleased to introduce two new key members to our team, Dr. Camille Logan, our new Associate Director, who will support SEAC, and Jasmine Borkovic, our new Governance Officer, who is joining us online this evening. Both bring a wealth of experience and a fresh perspective to our team. Dr. Logan is a strong school and system leader, committed to student achievement and well-being, inclusion, anti-racism, anti-oppression, and human rights, and ensuring the equity of access and experience and outcomes for all students, especially those who have been and continue to be marginalized within the system. Jasmine brings extensive experience in the government and parliamentary procedure within the public sector. Their combined experience will be instrumental as we navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead. And I am confident that their contributions will be invaluable in supporting our shared commitment to the multi-year strategic plan and our unwavering support of students with exceptionalities. Building a successful and effective partnership with you is a priority for us. This year, we aim to foster a collaborative environment built on transparency and respect. Open communication will be key as we work together to address the diverse needs of our students. Your insights and perspectives are essential in helping us understand and respond to the unique challenges faced by our students and their families. I encourage you to share your thoughts, ask questions, and engage in meaningful dialogue with us throughout the year. Jasmine will be sharing a SEAC working document to help build effective committee meetings. By working together in this spirit, we can make informed decisions and develop strategies that truly benefit our students. I would also like to take a moment to reflect on the success of our summer programs. Throughout the month of August, we offered both in-person and online learning opportunities through Camp Possible. Students who access special education supports at their schools were invited to apply, and over 300 students applied to attend in person, while the online camp saw registrations of over 1,500 students, mostly attending multiple weeks. Camp Possible provided a variety of topics for students to explore through virtual sessions happening at various times throughout the day. Students and families engaged in cooking, baking, cartooning, word games and trivia, meditation, soca dancing, read alouds, pet care, and learning how to sew, starting a new business, playing the ukulele, just to name a few. On average, 125 sessions per week were offered, serving between 1,000 and 1,250 students weekly. In-person Camp Possible was piloted at 2 sites this year, one in Brampton at Barrel Ford Public School and one in Mississauga at Dolphin Senior Public School. Students from grades 2 to 3 through age 21 attended the week-long camps that ran from 8:30 to 1 p.m. daily. 3 instructors, OCTs, DECs, and EAs were in each class to provide experiences such as baking, yoga, word work, painting, outdoor play, community walks, and making t-shirts. Many families shared that this was their child's first camp experience and that they loved the inclusive learning environment that focused on building upon each child's strengths, interests, and goals. On average, 115 students attended in-person Camp Possible weekly. I'd like to now invite communications to share the video that highlights the successes of Camp Possible.
Welcome to an overview of the Peel District School Board's Camp Possible. This is a summer camp opportunity for students who have completed grade 1 through to the ages of 21 who are accessing special education supports at their home school. Instructors take time to get to know these students and program accordingly. Whether students are painting, accessing hands-on materials, designing and building, or baking, or even making slime, students focus on developing new and transferable skills, reinforcing those that they have learned at their own school. Teamwork and communication are two key goals of Camp Possible. The program is divided into 3 major sections: primary for grades 1 to 3, junior intermediate for students in grades 4 to 8, and secondary for those students who are in grade 9 through to the age of 21. Part of the camp experience is bringing in community organizations to help students make new discoveries and to spark new interests. There's always something for everyone. Technology is also a key aspect of the program, where we use iPads, computers, Crickets, and more to design projects that are of interest to the campers. This summer, using the Cricket and the iron press, students made camp shirts. Sports are also a key component of the program, where students are encouraged to be active and engaged in activities that they love. Instructors use verbal guidance as often as possible to help students complete tasks such as marble painting, button making, making crafts out of found materials, and making sensory objects such as these sensory bottles. To wrap up a fabulous summer of working and learning together, families were invited in so that students could showcase their favorite activities during camp. Students and families and instructors were invited to share their highlights of Camp Possible. Students and families also had the opportunity to take part in the virtual Camp Possible, whether they were playing Minecraft, learning how to do different artistic techniques, reinforcing literacy and numeracy skills, or participating in soca dancing. There was definitely something for everyone. A couple of other highlights from Virtual Camp Possible were baking and cooking meals to serve to the family, learning how to make cartoons, and how to make sock puppets. Whether online or in person, there was definitely a focus to get to know ourselves and others more deeply. Here you will see some of the feedback from both in-person and virtual participants. We hope that you have enjoyed our overview of Camp Possible, both in person and virtual. Campers, families, and instructors would like to thank the Peel District School Board's Special Education and Social Emotional Learning Department for their consistent support throughout the summer Camp Possible 2024.
I just want to take the time as well to acknowledge the administrators, Mary Jo Wheeler and Jeremy Taylor, who were excellent at ensuring that all students had an amazing camp experience communicating with families. We're just so thrilled with the results. In our after-school skills development program, supported under the leadership of Erica Glover, over the course of 3 weeks, within 5 different groupings, approximately 90 autistic students from year 2 kindergarten to age 20 and their co-pilots actively engaged online in a variety of social, communicational, emotional literacy, movement-based, and hands-on art activities, as well as weekly nature-themed virtual field trips supported by the Conservation Halton and the Royal Botanical Gardens. With many students returning to our program, the level of social connections and the building of our community was off the charts this summer. All ASSDPs, including summer program, involved the creation of the personalized final student report for each student. With these reports designed to be rich in student success anecdotals, resources for recommendations for both home and school environments, they provide an additional level of support for families, schools, and students. Families received a copy of this report for their records, and schools were receiving a copy at the end of this month. ASSDP team members always feel great joy and success in our work, and this summer was no exception. We look forward to the school year ahead and its continued community building and learning opportunities for our students with autism. It must also be shared too that this summer, one of our students, Piper Hodgson, had the unique opportunity to create digital art to represent neurodiversity for our special education department. Mark, if I can ask you to show the image, please. As a grade 8 student at Riverside, Piper aspires to apply to the Copper Park Secondary Visual Arts Program, and so this opportunity was eagerly welcomed. To garner ideas for the design, Piper immediately sought out feedback from adults in her neurodivergent family and community as they feel, as to what they feel represents neurodiversity. Using this knowledge, her own lived experiences and ideas, Piper created this design that incorporates a brain, light bulb, and a variety of colors, each representing a different aspect of what neurodiversity may mean to individuals. Piper is not new to ASSDPs, and in fact, she and her siblings have been passionately engaged in over 4 years in both student-specific programs, as well as our month Autism Community Connection Family Nights. I would like to share that every artist needs a vehicle for that. So our department purchased sweatshirts, and we all wore them to Starting Point with Piper's design on the back of them. So pleased for that. I also want to take the opportunity, and I'm so thankful to welcome our EA group here this evening. We worked in great partnership with our EA team at the start of the year to provide professional learning to all EAs in the board. I think our final number was around almost 2,500 participants, where our educational assistants, who are so valued and so important to our community, our students, and our schools, were able to participate in professional learning that was relevant to their roles to ensure safety, well-being, inclusivity, and best practice. So we're so thrilled for the partnership and continued partnership with our EA group. This is This is the second year that we are partnering with the Transition Advisory Committee and the Dufferin-Peel Catholic School Board to offer the Central Resource Fair. Super excited about this. This in-person event provides students and families the opportunity to learn about supports and services available after high school for individuals with developmental or intellectual disabilities. The event features exhibitors from service providers like community programs, government supports, recreation opportunities, and employment supports. We have one event in the fall and one in the spring. The fall event will take place on Wednesday, October 23rd from 6 to 8 at St. Marguerite du Ville Secondary School in Brampton. And a similar event will be held in the south at Applewood Acres Secondary School on Tuesday, April 15th from 6 to 8. As we move forward, I'm hopeful for a year filled with progress and positive impact. Our collective efforts are vital in creating a supportive and inclusive educational experience for our students with exceptionalities. Together, we can make meaningful difference in their lives, support their families, and strengthen our community as a whole. Thank you for your unwavering dedication and for the important role you play in our educational community. I look forward to a productive and rewarding year ahead, working alongside each of you to support our students to achieve our shared goals. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can I have a motion that the Special Education Advisory Committee, question for motion. Oh, that they receive the superintendent's oral report. So, Trustee Elves and Mercer. All in favor? In case you're wondering, they provide me a handy dandy sheet here that's really helpful. That's why I'm doing a lot of reading tonight. So, okay, item 7.2, I'm going to ask Superintendent Scott and Associate Director Logan to present item 7.2.
Through you, Chair. Based on ongoing feedback from SEAC in the previous year, and a deep understanding that we need to improve our collaborative structures, we met together as a smaller group to ensure that, I'm reading the wrong one. This report is a staffing report, so I was going ahead to 7.3. This report defines the staffing structures as requested by SEAC. It serves as a guide to how the board has allocated the support required for students with special education needs so that they have the equity of access, experience, and outcomes. This report captures the 3 different disciplines within special education. As all of you know, our department, as of August 1st, now is only special education, and the social emotional learning department moved over to safety and wellbeing department. So we do have a new structure within special education that includes special education needs and coordinating principal under coordinating principal Jeff Bertrand, PSSB equity and anti-oppression under coordinating principal Andrea Dewar-Salmon, and special programs including SEAC, which has come back to us, which we're thrilled about, under coordinating principals Erla Jacket and George Sultanitis, as well as a coordinating vice principal, Kaz McGowan, and a new occupational therapist supervisor under Michelle Zillig. So please, no action required, just for information as to the staffing breakdown. Remembering that our staffing is continually changing and adapting, and may have some refinements and changes that we will consult and collaborate with you throughout the year. I did answer any questions.
Go ahead, Barbara.
I have some questions regarding why some of these people are here. A translator. Is it only special education students and parents that need a translator? Oh, it's
Transition facilitator, so there is no translator. Translating services are done.
Worker.
Yeah, so because we serve PSSP and some clinicians, social working clinicians, we do have one of our social workers whose 0.5 allocation is to attend court if we have any students who are in need of support in that area.
Okay, and what's the difference between a special education program coordinator and a special programs coordinator?
So we have above the top, on top, we have one K to 21 professional learning program coordinator. We have 2 special education program coordinators that support the special education portfolio under Jeff Bertrand. So his portfolio includes learning disabilities, mild intellectual disabilities, gifted, and so on and so on. Special program coordinators is under the supervision of Erla Jacket and George Sultanitis, and that includes developmental disabilities, ASD, fetal alcohol syndrome, blind, low vision. So one is for special programs and one is for special education. So it depends on the portfolio that they're supporting.
And what is ASSDP?
ASSDP is our after school program, which I just highlighted in my superintendent report. It's the after school skills development program that supports students with autism. And it's run after school for many, many of our students. I would say their outreach is significant and impactful, as you can see in my report today. So she, through Erica Glover, who is the lead of that, she runs after school and summer programs all year round.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Any questions?
Set of questions for the sorry, lost it here. Blind, low vision / hard of hearing itinerants. Is there a breakdown of that 21 since those 2 are combined?
Yep. Through you, Chair, I'd like to ask Coordinating Principal Bertrand to share what the breakdown is of those numbers. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. 12 deaf, hard of hearing itinerants and 9 vision itinerants.
And would that include the orientation and mobility specialist under this heading?
No, we contract that out.
Has that been filled?
Not yet.
So that was 12 and 9, right? 12 and 9?
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm sure this belongs here under the special education plan. We're going to ask about the special education resource teachers, which are replacing the itinerant teachers. Is that right? Is that the right ones? Special education
No,
resource.
through you, Chair. Through you, Chair. Special education resource teachers remained consistent from last year. So you're thinking special programs resource teachers.
Right.
They were replacing the itinerant teachers.
Okay. So are they the placement for the students who used to be itinerant? What is their placement now? How does that work?
Through you, Chair, yes, they will continue, their placement will continue to be in direct support. They're going to continue to receive, I wrote this down because I anticipated this question, indirect support with a refined focus on improving programming through student learning. So students will have the same level of support, indirect support that they were receiving, but we are working harder at improving programs and things like that. So their placement will be indirect support.
So what is the difference between special programs research teacher and itinerant?
So through you, Chair, the itinerant teacher, as we shared last year at SEAC, we are moving kind of from SIS into RISE, which is another alternative program, which we truly believe will improve the efficiencies of our board and take away some of the operational items that itinerant teachers are currently now doing and replace it with more functional digital supports so that they can move towards student-specific supports. They're not having direct student caseloads, but they have schools instead. So we're building capacity for one itinerant to one special programs resource teachers, my apology, to support whole schools and individual students. So it's kind of branching out to the same level of support they received as an itinerant with the addition of professional learning and development to build capacity in the system.
So they all have student specific. They're going to be just for whole school, all. Okay.
Vice Chair.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, so they're going to take on the same responsibilities as before, but with a wider range of a wider range of students in this school.
So yes, they'll be looking at school-based support instead of having individual caseloads, and they'll have increased responsibilities in developing capacity across the system. Our department is very committed to improving programs and supports for students by developing educator and principal capacity.
Placement change.
No, still indirect support.
Okay. How are the parents going to be notified of this change, or are they?
So we are just working through communications with principals right now. And it is our hope that our special programs resource teachers, as changes are communicated, have communicated already and reached out to their schools, explained what their roles are, that change would be communicated through SRMs when they come up.
And everybody, is this everybody who's paid for by special education funding on this list?
Through you, Chair, there are different funding models, and I have asked the finance department to come. But yes, this is under the special education area responsibility, who report ladder up to me and then to Dr. Logan. But I don't know the exact budget line that each of these roles come out of.
Are there any employees that are not on this list that are funded out of special education funding?
Through you, Chair, from my understanding that this is where special education funds are. We do have other supports, for example, under Andrea Dewar-Salmon's portfolio. We do have PSSP staff in other departments. For example, we have somebody in the equity department, and we also have PSSP staff in the caring and well-being departments.
Through your Chair, I think maybe we're into some staff that might not be captured here, are also staff that we contract out for, roles that we contract out for, coordinating principal Bertram, Principal Bertram mentioned it earlier.
Through you staff, yes, there is a funding mechanism, of course, where we do have external support staff that come in and help for areas of expertise. But I have asked that the finance department come and provide a more comprehensive as per our next agenda item.
Great, perfect. Great. And one last question, if no one else. The ATRTs, it looks like, and I know they have a new title now, but it looks like it's a decrease from what we had last year. How are we gonna make up for that one?
Through you, Chair, I'm going to ask Acting Vice Principal of SEAC, Kaz McGowan, to please respond to that question.
Thank you, Superintendent Scotto. Through you, Chair. As you know, last year, the ATRTs were supporting with training students through assistive technology. This year, the SEARTs are coming back in spec eds to offer direct service delivered to students so that they are proficient using their assistive technology. There's still going to be 13 ed tech resource teachers that will be doing all professional work. Sorry. So they are not paid through SEA. They're not paid through the special education department, but they will still be supporting special education by offering professional learning throughout.
Thank you. And through you, Chair, just to add to that, we also, and we'll share this in more fulsome in our future report, have increased our OTs, occupational therapists, from 3 to 9, which is thrilling work, thrilling and exciting.
On that note, will they be added to second plan and how we access them and what they're doing and all that?
Yes, through you, Chair. The special education plan is seen as a working document, so it will never be a perfect document, but it is one that we are committed to updating and bringing any updates to you as they come up. So we have a report coming about SEA and the outline today, and you'll notice in all of our reports that we are trying to capture what part of the standards that would impact. So therefore, during the reports, we are consulting and sharing about the updates that would be happening. And then we would go through and make those changes and updates to the plan.
So there will be updates here all year long to that plan?
We are going to capture a running document of all of the feedback. And then we will work with our new governance officer to see what the best practice is, if changes should be made as we have consulted with SEAC, or if we should wait until the year end. So that will be a consultation process that we have with Jasmine.
All right, can I have a motion that the Special Education Advisory Committee receive the Special Education Department structure report? Thank you. Trustee Clark, and a second. Mainstream. All in favor? Now we're on to the SEAC annual agenda and goals, and I will ask Superintendent Sacato and Associate Director Lovin to present item 7.3.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. As a part of our reflection and consultation with all of you last year, we looked towards the creation of a draft monthly agenda topic. We're bringing to you for consultation with today. This was done with a smaller group of individuals, including members of SEAC. And the proposed agenda is, of course, based on PDSB staff availability. And we'll do our best to honor these agenda items based on the availability of not only our staff, but Century staff as well. We would like to ask that as you review the proposed and draft agenda, that you provide feedback to us, and we can make amendments as we move forward. So again, increase transparency, and so that as we arrive to every meeting, we have an idea of what will be presented.
So I think we have time here if anyone has anything they'd like to add or change or have thoughts on as well. If you think of something later, feel free to email those information, because I know it's a lot to take in at once. But if there's associations that want to make a presentation and they have a particular month, that kind of thing, let us know and I can add it in. Anybody have any thoughts at the moment?
Can we redo the SEAC brochure?
For you, Chair, I know the SEAC brochure, can you expand on that a little bit, please, Barb?
Well, it hasn't been updated or revised in many years. And I think that maybe some of us might like to make some changes or add some things to it. Right now, it's just one-page document folded in half, but don't sign it.
And through you, Chair, our new governance officer, Jasmine, is working on a SEAC working document that would help to advise and train SEAC members around things like how to pass a motion or how to ask a question. Is that something more comprehensive of what you were thinking,
No,
or?
no, this is a brochure that is available to parents.
Okay, oh, so it's a public facing, sorry,
Yes.
my misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I thought it was internal. Okay, public facing.
Maybe actually have to come to the next meeting. So we can do that.
Sure. I don't think so, no. Actually,
Ask them to come to the next meeting so we can see it, make the changes.
okay, if the board has a copy, can they bring it to the next meeting? Sorry, if the board has a copy, can you bring it to the next meeting?
Through you, Chair, we will add that to the motion action log.
Anyone else? Any comments? Any other comments or things? Yes.
To you, Chair, I was just wondering, I know the board was working on a one-page document in regards to how to deal with escalations as well for parents in the community. Sort of like if you have a situation, this is sort of like the process that you would follow when you would go. Was that ever done?
For you, Chair, Andrew, are you referring to like co-regulation strategies or how to get a student to have replacement behaviors?
Yeah, I think like if a parent is going through a challenge with their student and in terms of what's the process that they would follow. To, like, you know, first you would speak to your teacher, then you go to principal,
It's in the plan.
et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. I know there was something that I remember seeing something that was in the works, but I don't think I've ever seen a final document on it.
Through you, Chair, we did have a member of our department write a draft for an SRM from a parent's perspective, and we are bringing that to SEAC for feedback. So how to access supports, sorry, I misunderstood what you were saying. So how to access supports from a parent perspective, but we are bringing that back to SEAC for consultation. And I would like to ask coordinating principal Jen Perchin to share.
Well, thank you. And through you, Chair, we did include in the updated plan a dispute resolution process, which is one of the requirements under the standards. And so that is in there as well.
Yeah, no, thank you. I know they were working on a one page to hand out to parents. So I know that it's in the plan, but more so for teachers or for resource teachers or for parents they use within the community too, right? Yeah.
Sorry, through you, Chair. I think that's a good idea. Ms. Mystery is making a good comment. Maybe that can go to the motion action log to come back for the next meeting as well. Can we hear back from staff on what it would take to create that for parents? Or it could be a possibility.
Yeah, through you, Chair, we have, like, if we're talking about how to access supports and the steps to SRM, then that has been drafted, but we are going to bring it back here for feedback to make sure that, you know, SEAC has a chance before we publish to share feedback, to make sure it's accessible, that it's included parent family friendly language, no acronyms, things like that. So we've been very thoughtful in the development, but would like to have some feedback.
Thank you.
All right, see no other questions. I'd like you, if you have time to think about it over the next month, and let us know if there's anything we should be looking at. That's I went through PAC on SEAC and a couple other SEAC meetings to try and figure out what we should be doing, because we've kind of gone a little bit off track, and Shelley and I met. So really welcome any other thoughts or experiences you have that we should be doing here. So speak a little bit that, think about it. That being said, can I have someone motion that the SEAC annual agenda and goals will be received? Yes, got trustee Benjamin and trustee Ellison. And we are on to our special education plan. So I'm going to ask Superintendent Paxicato and Associate Director Logan to present item 7.4.
For you, Chair, I will ask coordinating principal Jeff Bertrand to present the report. And thank you, Mark, for presenting the slide deck.
Thank you. And through you, Chair. So we're bringing the special education plan back after collecting feedback in the spring and reviewing the feedback and making some updates, some clarifications. So just a quick slide deck to sort of walk through a few different things. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So one of the things we are trying to do this year is commit to highlighting how reports that are being delivered link to the special education plan, as Superintendent Scucato said. And so you will see in the reports that it often will say this is reflective or in alignment with standard 1 or standard 2 through the 18 standards, so that as we go through the year, if there are concerns about specific standards or we are looking at potential changes, it's very clear as to where in the document that would be applicable, so that you're not having to go through all 130 pages to try and figure out where that section is. Next slide, please. So consultation timelines from last year. So we shared the draft at the May 2024 SEAC meeting, collected the feedback and shared some responses to that feedback at the June meeting. We also had some small group sessions as we heard loud and clear that we need to differentiate the type of consultation and the way we collect feedback from members of SEAC. And so we were able to go through some of the responses that we had put together to the feedback. And then Appendix 2 of this report outlines where changes were made to the plan in response to feedback, provides some clarifications and responses to the feedback collected if it didn't necessarily result in a change. Next slide, please. So some of the highlights, just very high level, because we've all spent a lot of time looking at the plan, is it was a reformat to align our special education plan with the expectations in special education in Ontario K-12. And it was our first full update since 2017. So what we had on our external website didn't follow the layout of most boards' plans. We've provided job descriptions for special education staff along with allocations, and we know that some of those job descriptions still need to be include more details, and we are working on that. An updated placement program chart by exceptionality with links to placement descriptions, criteria considerations. This one is an ongoing one. We have found some links that either go to the wrong page or need to be updated, so we're continuing to work on that. We've updated the SEAC guidelines that came out in the spring and incorporated those into the plan. We've updated community health partners and services provided, and we provided more information around preschool community resources, including speech language pathology. Next slide, please. And so in reflecting on last year and some of the feedback we've collected, we've sort of outlined some next steps as well. And Superintendent Scucato highlighted that we'll likely look at reviewing 1 to 2 sections of the plan at each SEAC meeting so that we can discuss things in more detail, collect feedback and recommendations throughout the year rather than trying to compress it all into the end of the year. As I've said, future reports clearly linked. We need to continue to provide clarification on new roles in special education, but also how they relate to previous and other existing roles. So when we change job titles and descriptions, we need to include a more detailed and fulsome description of how those are different or similar to previous ones. And as we continue to add different positions to the department, we'll need to update that as well. One thing we've also been working on is a feedback form that will be accessible at the end of each standard in the special education plan, if sort of what I've got in my mind is possible. And so that feedback form is open to the public. They can provide feedback at any time as they look for information within the form. So if they go and something is not easily accessible or easy for them to find, they can highlight that in real time, and we're collecting all of that information as part of our feedback. And that has been done in collaboration with the research department and is pretty close to being finalized. We're hoping it'll be ready to go as soon as we have the plan on the public facing website. And then one part that we need to do is include the accessibility plan once it's finalized, because that is not included in our current one, and it's not a very fulsome description. So we know that that part needs to continue to be developed.
Through you, Chair, if I may, we would like to also acknowledge that we consider this a working document, that we know that we will never present a document that is perfect, that we will continue to reflect on our practice, collaborate with SEAC and community, and refine the special education plan to the best of our ability. So thank you.
And next
No,
slide.
no, that's it.
That's it? Okay.
Okay. So is there any discussion or questions?
Through your chair, I think Superintendent Sakato and our staff are definitely overdue for some thanks. Because I know how much work went into reviewing all of the feedback that the board gave them, and I know how tight timelines were. So I just want to commend you and your staff for a job well done. I'm certainly confident and proud of the document before us, and I'm glad that we're working with community and parents and our committee to make it better. So in that line, I'd also like to ask how we're communicating to parents and our community that the document is live and that they can offer feedback. How are we disseminating that?
Through you, Chair, great question, and thank you for your thanks. We appreciate it, and I do continue to be humbled and proud to work with such an amazing department. We, once approved, we will be sending that out through system communication, including a link to that, and we'll do so regularly as a part of our process. So it'll be sent through our All Families message, which is our primary means of communication with the whole system as a whole, which will include a link to the plan and a link to the feedback form.
Thank you. Through your chair, recognizing this is not a direction for staff, but perhaps a gentle consideration, perhaps connecting with communications about putting it on social channels might be advantageous to getting the message out. Food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you. We can take that back to them.
Other comments or?
So there's still quite a few problems with the plan as it is right now. So is it your intention to put it out even though all these problems still exist?
Through you, Chair, we would be happy to continue to take feedback. And then again, as I shared, we would work with our governance officer to determine if the changes can be made or should be made, and if they should be made immediately. So if it wasn't done through this process, or you feel it wasn't captured, we're happy to continue to take your feedback always. But want to ensure that we get the special education plan out to community and supportive students to make sure that we are always in service and compliant with the expectations of the ministry, and are happy to continue to take your feedback.
Well, one of the things missing is the location of the contained classes, but that's not in here at all.
Thank you, and we can certainly take that back. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So just to confirm, it's not a live document, right? That we can always update as necessary. It's sort of like you have to periodic updates to it, or something that you would take our feedback and then you will update it right away, or?
Through you, I do have to check that with our new governance officer to make sure that we're following expectation. What we will be doing though is taking a running document change. So if there is feedback such as what Barb just shared that we're able to amend, or we'll provide a response if we're not making an amendment. So what we'll do is have a running document, and come closer to the end, we'll share that document with SEAC about if the change was updated or not. Instead of sharing the whole 150-page plan, we'll work on amendments instead, which is kind of more palatable and easier to digest for many people because it's not so overwhelming and it's more clear about what specific changes were made. So thank you.
Thank you.
My concern with what you're talking about is if there's fundamental changes that's happening, things that seem to be quite common right now, there's a lot of changes. If we can't update it real time, how are we informing our parents of what their options are?
Yeah, and through you, I can have that conversation with Jasmine and certainly email SEAC committee members what our response to that conversation is. She unfortunately couldn't be here in person today, so she is online. I'm not sure if she wants to answer now about that, or we want to take that back.
Are you able to,
Oh, she has her hand is up. Oh, just tell her to go ahead. She's waiting to be called on.
yes, go ahead.
Yes, staff can certainly take that information back and advise at the next SEAC meeting.
Yeah, let's add it to the back motion. Action motion on. Very good. Thank you. Okay, so could I have a motion that the 2024-25 Peel District School Board Special Education Plan be received? Okay. So we've got Lieutenant Els and Lieutenant, wow.
Oh, just lieutenant.
And Benjamin.
Oh, many things. Let's do your work.
Okay.
And share the promotion.
Okay. All right, so we're moving on to 7 point. Oh, wait, no, let's have a vote. Are we all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
We didn't get the whole ones.
Sorry, it was
Els,
trustee
yeah, it
Benjamin.
was-
Trustee Benjamin.
And Benjamin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, we're moving on to 7.5, changes to the special education equipment allocation, the SEA funding. And I'm last, Superintendent Staccato and Associate Director Logan to present item 7.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, we were absolutely thrilled to share the new changes to SEA in the Peel District School Board, and want to take the time to thank both the trustees and the director's office for their support and making sure that the comprehensive support we provide to students is exemplary across the board. So I'd like to ask Acting Vice Principal McGowan and OT Supervisor Zillick to please share the report.
Thank you, Superintendent Scotto, and through you, Chair. Thank you for having us here today. I'm very excited. I am the Acting Coordinating Vice Principal of SEA, and I'm here along with Occupational Therapist Supervisor Michelle Zillick. Next slide, please. Today, Michelle and I will be taking a look at the Ministry of Education SEA directives, the changes to SEA, our SEA team, and we'll be presenting the new occupational therapist role and SEA resource teacher role. Thank you. Special education is to provide students with special education needs with accommodations that are directly required and essential for attending school. Students must be receiving special education programs and services, and the use of SEA-funded equipment must be outlined and described in the IEP. Assessments from qualified professionals serve to demonstrate need, but also to ensure safety and proper use of specialized equipment. Professional assessments must include a description of the condition the equipment is meant to address and functional recommendation regarding the specific type of equipment the student requires to address their strengths and needs. Qualified professionals include psychologists, psychological associates, physicians, audiologists, speech and language pathologists, optometrists, ophthalmologists, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, and other regulated health professionals as appropriate. So SEA's funding is for purchasing specialized equipment for students with special education needs. SEA has changed to specialized equipment allocation from special equipment amount. SEA is now part of the Special Education Fund, SEF, formerly the Special Education Grant, which is in the core education funding, formerly the Grants for Students Needs, GSN.
Through you, Chair, I will continue. Next slide, please. So we will be talking about a key change, which is claims-based. So the existing practice from last year was single items over $800 was a deductible of $800. The new practice with the new SEA ministry directives is single items over $5,000. And we just wanted to highlight items that are over $5,000, and we will be getting a full reimbursement from the Ministry of Education. So items include change tables, hospital beds, plinth beds, ceiling track lifts, adapted trikes, standers, walkers, freestanding swings, Riften activity chairs, Riften commodes, specialized seating, and eye tracking technology. Next slide, please. Another key change is the funding model. The existing practice in 2023-2024 was the per pupil amount, or PPA, and this was based on a base of $20,000 plus $39.46 multiplied by ADE, which is the actual daily enrollment. And the new practice for the new ministry directives of this new school year is a base of $200,000 plus $51.10 multiplied by the actual daily enrollment. Items that are typically under $5,000 that we'll be using this for would be computers or tablets, computer peripherals, equipment software, sensory equipment, vision support or hearing support, personal care support, physical assist support, leasing equipment, robotics, and repair and maintenance of all equipment. Next slide, please. This is just highlighting our organizational structure. So we have our acting vice principal of SEA or SEA. We have an occupational therapist supervisor with 9 occupational therapists and a sensory mobility technician. We have a SEA IT supervisor with a SEA analyst and 4 SEA technicians, and we have 9 SEA resource teachers. Next slide, please. So I'm thrilled to say that we currently had 3 occupational therapists, and we are growing to 9 plus 1 supervisors, so a total of 10 occupational therapists. They will be providing direct service to students with complex equipment needs through an individual referral process. They will be recommending specialized equipment through SEA claims, and I want to highlight that occupational therapists currently employed by the board are the only regulated healthcare professionals who are recommending sensory and mobility equipment for our students. They will be reviewing and approving SEA claims for sensory mobility equipment, ensuring that the IEPs are updated and that the equipment is essential for the students to participate in meaningful education. We will be providing professional learning for staff and students on the use of specialized equipment, accessibility, regulation, mental health support, and sensory processing, and other topics as requested by our schools. We will be participating in multidisciplinary team referrals, working collaboratively with other professional support services such as psychologists, speech language pathologists, and social workers, as well as educators, EAs, and school staff. We will be supporting the creation and monitoring of alternative learning environments, specifically gross motor and sensory rooms, and looking at universal designs. We will be supporting with accessibility project files to ensure our schools are barrier-free, always aligning with AOD compliance and student and staff accommodations. We'll be collaborating with Aeronaut Kids school-based rehabilitation services with occupational therapists and physiotherapists who are external coming into our schools to ensure that we are providing seamless transition of services. And we will also be providing back care training modules for our EAs continuously throughout the school years.
Our SEA LTSS support team is a dedicated team of 6 supporting all schools within the Peel District School Board. They ensure students with special needs have the tools and technologies they require to succeed. They manage SEA claims, provide technology support, and collaborate with educators and staff. They help handle the setup, troubleshoot, repairs, and daily service requests for devices. They also provide a quick turnaround and response times through efficient workflows. And they especially stay current with new assistive technology advancements, ensuring students can reach their full potential. The SEA resource teachers will be direct service to students, that they receive the SEA technology to access the curriculum. So they will be training students one-to-one or small groups or in classrooms for students that would benefit from learning about how to use their technology. They will offer in-person as well as virtual training. They will be reviewing and approving SEA claims for technology, provide professional learning for staff that work in special education classrooms for the use of specialized technology and accessibility, as well as guide educators through the SEA claim process on how to submit, approve, development of IEPs, and the integration of assistive technology. They will also support educators with assistive technology programming to meet the needs of students as per their IEP. And I know I mentioned this before, but we wanted to just clearly show you how the EdTech Innovation Resource Teachers and the SEA Resource Teachers work to support students and staff. So in the first column, the EdTech will facilitate comprehensive school-wide professional learning sessions on the implementation and effective use of assistive technology and digital tools. They will also do co-planning and co-teaching sessions in classrooms, incorporating assistive technology and technology-enabled learning tools to promote inclusivity and differentiated instruction for all students. They will be leading and coordinating professional learning at the system, family of schools, and school level, focusing on integration of educational technologies to enhance inclusive pedagogy and student engagement, as well as facilitate comprehensive school-wide professional learning sessions on the implementation and the effective use of assistive technology and digital tools, utilizing formats such as staff meetings, whole class workshops, and lunch and learns. So I know the number might seem like it's going down, but we have grown in our capacity as a system to support students. And thank you.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions?
Yes, through you, Chair. I'm not sure if this is the correct avenue to ask this question, but assistive animals, where does that fall in? Yeah, serves and
Through you, Chair. You, Chair. We do have, it does not fall within SEAC because they deal mostly with technology, but we do have an operating procedure that guides how students can use animals in support. It is actually an operating procedure that we are currently looking at revisioning of. So we do have an existing practice.
Okay, well, maybe after this.
Sure, I can share that
another
with you.
question, right? Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, you know, I have some. You go first.
Just a quick question, I guess. How many students were part of the SEAC program last year, and do you anticipate like a rise this year?
In terms of claims that came in for assistive technology, probably about 1,600 have been submitted and approved last academic year, and it usually goes up maybe about 10% every year. But it would be around that number. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And
then,
that's new students.
Yeah. And is there like a wait list for the programming?
No, and that's what we try to build together is that we have these virtual sessions running 3 times a week where students can get their technology the same day and have access to a training session on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, so they can access this with a live virtual PDSB teacher and in the classroom. They don't need to be excluded. They can learn with their friends, that the teacher put it on for the whole classroom. So they would have access to that training immediately, as well as we have a public facing website with short little videos that the student can learn on their own, learn with their family, and getting better at using that tool to make them successful.
That's great, thank you. I know with my daughter specifically, so she was recommended a SEAC device last year, and I got no communication on it. Like, she got an iPad, and it was sort of like, okay, so what is this for? What is it for? Are there apps on here that, like, are we supposed to be working with her at home on this, or just specifically just for school? Or I think I don't know what the parent involvement is on that process, but I think we really need to, I guess, put more, like, or even if there's a device that they get, sort of what is the parent's role versus the teacher's role, etc.
Thank you, Val. I think that back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be added to the action motion log is how we can keep to the parents regarding SEAC claims. Great point. Never thought of it. So I had a couple of questions about the new funding model. Have we done the math to figure out if it's hurting us or helping us? On the surface, it looks like 2 million extra dollars, but that doesn't account for all the claims we have between 500 and 5,000. So
Through you, Chair. We have tried to determine if we could run those numbers ourselves, and it's almost impossible to tell. We did look at past spending practices and try to determine if it was going to be a benefit to us. But again, the claims change, prices have changed, the number of student requests have changed. So I think this year will be a great litmus test to understand where we stand at the end of it, because we tried to do a bit of a prediction, and we're unable to do so based on that, because again, so much has changed. We've even noticed a change in competitive pricing and things like that. So we will have to get back to you on that. Unknown right now.
Through you, Chair, I might be able to help shed some light. I don't have the answer, as Superintendent Scagato mentioned, but my colleagues and I have worked with the chair and the board to write a letter to the ministry. I think we said 1 or 2 over to the former Minister of Education, the former minister, they lost one in between, to ask for more funding for autism supports. And I know that my colleagues and I on the board, when it came to budget, did everything in our power to reallocate and to dip into every pocket that we could to ensure continued funding for special education. We're trying our best, our level best, to make sure that all our kids are getting the support they need.
appreciate that. Thank you. There's just more of this specific change, how it impacts. I thought we could kind of look at how many claims did we put in last year? If we did the exact same amount of claims, would we be in the same space or would we be more? But that's not possible.
We have attempted that, and so if you saw kind of the slides that share the above 5,000 and below, but some of those ones that were above 5,000 are now slightly below, unfortunately, and some of the ones
need to go to a different vendor.
Yes. So the prediction was challenging, but we have endeavored to see if it would be beneficial, and we'll certainly do what we can to ensure that all of the funds are spent on students and for student supports.
It's a question regarding the OTs. So it sounds like some of what you're going to be doing is a duplication of what Erin Kids is supposed to be doing. Is that accurate?
So through you, Chair, we will be meeting, Superintendent Scagato and I will be meeting with Erin Kids to delineate our services and ensure that there is no duplication of services. Internally, we're going to be looking more specifically at accessibility project files from a school-wide stance, more to tier 1. We're looking at the creation from a universal perspective for gross motor sensory rooms, which is what we do internally. Erin Kids does not do that. And we're looking at, from a tier 3 perspective, providing more focused, intensive, more frequent visits with our students with complex needs to ensure that they have more service that's required to support them to be able to be at school and to access and to participate. So we will delineate our services.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And one last question. How is it decided what the, get the name wrong, the equivalent to you in research and innovation, are you involved in what they're teaching the classrooms, like what programs they're teaching, that kind of thing? How is that determined?
So in terms of the assistive technology, so the equivalent to me would be in charge of all technologies. But when it comes to sharing assistive technology, would be to hold classrooms at staff meetings, at workshops, where we would be focusing specifically on special education educators, ensuring that students with special education needs get the best accommodations and know how to use them effectively. So that would be the delineation. Last year, we were doing that all together, and now our team would not be responsible for that event.
And through you, just to expand, there is an intense partnership and collaboration. So we do share best practices. We do use the same approved tools, and the superintendent and I are constantly in communication around how do we best support and uphold the existing practices and structures and improve them. So there is a lot of collaboration that happens between the teams.
Because what we've kind of seen in the past, the stuff that gets to all the classrooms, not the same things that maybe the students are using. So for example, I know there's a great math program that would have been fantastic, particularly for my son, and it was the recognized one, but no teachers trying to use it, kind of thing. So how are we making sure that those disconnects don't happen?
So we will ensure, like through the IEP, that the best tools that students need to use, that their educators are to know how to use them. And, you know, for students like your son or my son, that their educators are given the opportunities to, you know, either go to a workshop or offer like planning time sessions so that they can know how to use that tool, because the tool's great for the student, but usually always very easy and intuitive for the educator as well. So there's a lot of buy-in, and plus it usually helps everybody, not just the student that really needs it. So we will continue to work along with educators and showing them.
Do we track at all how well they're catching on? Because like down at the level where the kids are, we talk about these great programs and things like that, but the majority of the people you run into don't necessarily know those programs. So do we know, say we recommend a program, and I can't remember the math program, but it was great for all kids to do math on the computer. But still, and it was recommended by the board, but there were very few people who understood it. So then you would have to go into a classroom, and now all of a sudden this new teacher has to learn a whole new program, as opposed to if it's the recommended program, why isn't everyone learning who teaches math, this sort of thing. So how do we track that? How do we make sure that when you're recommending a program that's good for everyone, that everyone actually knows it?
Through you, Chair, we can bring that back to our partners in the curriculum department about kind of shared support in mathematics as well. I know that they are working really diligently on a scope and sequence to make sure that we're meeting students where they are developmentally and giving them the right things, but the right tools also matter. So certainly a conversation we can have with the curriculum department. Thank you.
Yeah, and overall, I'm very excited about being back with us and excited about the idea that you're going to work together and that, you know, the whole classroom is learning the same thing, and hopefully that does work out and things improve. So great, thank you.
Thank you. And through you, Chair, I do want to acknowledge the leadership that those that just presented, the efficiencies and dedication to timely service. They've reduced wait times. They have been in classrooms. It used to take 3 weeks for students to get their devices. Now it takes 1 to 2 days. It's really commendable and just really exciting that kids are getting what they need when they need it. And so I just wanted to acknowledge.
All right, we have a motion that the Special Education Committee receive the changes to the Special Equipment Allocation CF funding report. With the side, there we go, and Trustee Clark. All in favor? That's 8.1. This is the Ministry's Advisory Council on Special Education meeting highlights, February 20. This is just for receipt?
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion that the Special Education Advisory Committee receives the Ministry's Advisory Council on Special Education meeting highlights from February 2024. Anyone had a chance to look at it? Trustee Clark, Barb, Sear. Hey, I guess I should have asked for any comments or questions about that first. Is there anyone? And then the letter from the CDC to Minister Todd Smith. Any comments about that?
We might have to update. It's no longer Todd Smith.
Yeah.
Sorry. May I?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, through you, Chair. Todd former Minister Todd Smith has decided to move on to other things. We may need to loop in our new minister, Jill Dunlop, just as practice.
Okay. I think we're just motioning that we receive a letter that he had sent.
Yes.
So I think that's still. Yes. So I can do a motion that the Special Education Advisory Committee receives the letter from the CDCC to Minister regarding the special education budget. Any discussions? All right, I need a motioner, seconder.
Microphone on.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So,
Sure.
yeah. Trustee Clark and Trustee Benjamin. All right, so this is the added item to our agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, all in favor of that one? I don't think I did that. Okay. The added item to our agenda, but the new appointment to SEAC. Are they actually here? No, it's not. Okay. All right. So unfortunately, Topaz Heights is no longer able to serve. So the Salwani African-centric Circle of Support is nominating Shay Osobua as their replacement. So we need a motion that Shay Osobu of the Salvan African-centric Circle of Support be appointed as the alternate member of the member representative to the Peel District School Board Special Education Advisory Committee. A motion, okay. Clerk and Ellis. Right, and all in favor? Okay. And we are on to 9, which is the chair's request. There's something on, sorry.
Dorothy Petty had her hand up, it looks like, but it's gone.
Dorothy, do you have something to say?
Yeah, she has that.
Go ahead, Dorothy.
I was just motioning that I'm in favor.
Okay.
So sorry, Dorothy, I haven't got used to looking online, so just yell if I'm not paying attention. Apologize. So on to 9, the chair's request for written questions from committee members. No questions. And 10, reports from representatives on councils and associations. Does anyone have any reports tonight? Anyone online? Okay, seeing nothing. We don't have to receive any reports then. On to 11, questions asked of and by committee members. Are there any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, to repeat, actually to maybe dig down a little bit deeper into it. I believe last year, maybe the year before, a parent had told me their child was not able to access their education because there was no one on staff who understood how to handle their support animal. Is there a procedure, is there a procedure in place to remedy that situation? Is it due to funding or what? And have we fixed that issue where the student will be able to access their education? Thank you.
Thank you. And through you, we always want to ensure our students are in school. So we would always recommend that that parent reach out to the principal or the superintendent and make sure that, that was expedited because we want all of our students in school. But I will ask coordinating principal Earl Jacket to respond to the question around the operating procedure.
Thank you, Superintendent Sacato, and through you, Chair. As Superintendent Sacato indicated earlier, we are going to be reviewing the current operating procedure on service animals. I can say at this time, our operating procedure on service animals indicates that any student with a service animal must or is identified as the handler of that animal. So as the handler, they need to have the skills to manage and be responsible for the service animal.
Okay, in response, what if the problem that the student had is that they were too young in order to perform those tasks. So what is the process then, or what can we do then through you, Chair?
So through you, Chair, this is something that we'll be looking at when we review the current operating procedure, because it is written in the language that says that the handler, the student is the handler. So that is something that we'll have to review.
Yeah, thank you.
Just follow up to that. What's happening with the student? Is she waiting for this rewrite her?
Yeah. I don't know that we just lost contact and again, this was like a while ago, over a year ago. So I'm not 100% sure what happened.
Yeah, through you, Chair, if I may, if you do find out the name of the student, if you could please forward that to me, I will look into it personally.
Okay,
thank
great.
you.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Online, anybody? Any motions for consideration? Notices of committee member motions. Standing. Oh, that would be, okay, so there were some motions, petitions from someone outside of the.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Motion action log.
Through you, Chair, thank you. Dating back to February 2024, we are finally sharing our special education organizational chart. As I shared earlier when we were talking about staff allocations, this chart has continually changed and now is reflective of the shift between that happened between our department and Safe and Caring. So for your information, that is our current department organization. Happy to answer any questions.
Just gonna give everybody a few minutes to have a look.
Through you, Chair, if people would like to take this and take it home and we can receive questions for it next week, just to honor everybody's time.
I think that's makes sense. It's a lot to digest.
The next item on the.
I just have one question.
Oh, sorry.
Next time, could we get the printing a little bit bigger?
So through you, Chair.
There's lots of blank space on the page.
This was the biggest ability for us to, because our department is quite large and comprehensive. This was the biggest page that we could print it out
a
on.
magnifying glass.
My apologies.
Or is it possible to get it in the digital format so we can do?
I can look into that. Yeah, it is just constantly changing, right? So we want to make sure that we understand that it's based on, today's date. So, yeah. IT RTC funding, there was a request to talk about the ATRTC funding. We met that requirement through report 7.5 today. Remove that from the motion action log. The results of the ADHD writing team. We were thrilled with the multidisciplinary team who wrote in response to a motion that was brought here to SEAC. The writing team also included the individual who brought the motion forward. So we had a great parent representation on that team. Our team is currently vetting the documents and the professional learning that will happen. And we're planning a system-wide professional learning around how to support students with ADHD in our system in November. So we're thrilled with that and are happy to bring back that document once it's been reviewed internally for your feedback, hopefully in October, prior to November. Budget reports and information to be shared with members early in the year. This information is contained in report 7.3 of the SEAC annual agenda and goals is currently in the draft agenda scheduled to be brought back in October. And I have already made a connection to the finance department and asked for a more comprehensive report. So that expands on the one that was given last year. And then the final question on the motion action log was clarifying document on specialized staff contracts to be added to the special education plan. And this is particularly requested around the blind, low vision itinerant services. So the response from Associate Director Paul De Silva was that we recognize we moved away from the permanency of positions and transitioned into term positions. For blind, low vision, and HOH teachers will remain in their roles for 3-year contracts, and the likelihood of continuing, given the qualification, will continue. So our commitment is that the blind, low vision itinerant services would support. They have a very nuanced and particular level of expertise, and we absolutely recognize and value the importance of the blind, low vision, and hard of hearing itinerant teachers, and are committed to sustaining those levels.
Just ask a question, but your wording, you said they're likely to continue, but why is that even included? I mean, why would they not continue that?
So through you, Chair, we are bound by collective agreements, and most positions, central positions, are termed positions. And so termed positions means that they are able to go for 3 to 5 years, and then we give other people opportunities so that people who are in central roles go back and experience classroom, have classroom experiences, can relate to students in the classroom, and then can apply back after. But having said that, with we understand that itinerant blind, low vision, and hard of hearing teachers have a specialty that most do not have. So they are one that has remained. You'll see that we moved away from itinerant teachers in ASD, and we maintained itinerant teachers in blind, low vision.
But a year ago, that understanding seemed to be lacking because they got letters telling them this. So
I understand that, and we did acknowledge that in our meeting. They were almost immediately recalled. It was a part of a board-wide process where we needed to look at the number of central staff that we had, making sure that we balanced that with other staffing needs across the board, including classroom teachers in classrooms, EAs, and making sure that we were DCEs, and making sure that we were equitable in our distribution of that. But you will recall that almost immediately, every single blind, low vision, and HOH itinerant were recalled back.
sorry, the fact that they were called back doesn't really negate the fact that it happened in the first place. And
understand.
And it just seems having wording like that, they likely will stay in these positions. That doesn't give me a great feeling that people fully appreciate the mistake that was made last time, and the desire to avoid that in future. It feels like this could happen again under new leadership, because anyone that's been here any length of time knows it's a bit of a revolving cast that we deal with, and I just would hate to hear the same thing happening 2 or 3 years from now, and it doesn't seem like we're taking steps to prevent that from happening. We seem to be headed the same way, or at least to allow that to happen the same way. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a separate position. It's not somebody isn't going to take a summer course and replace a blind low vision. So it just, it's disappointing. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Take that back.
Are there any questions regarding the action motion log? Number 15, adjournment. May I have a motion that the Special Education Committee adjourns for the meeting at 8:28? Trustee Ells, Trustee Benjamin. Thank you all for coming. All in favor? Sorry. No, I don't.
And thank you to Jennifer for stepping in as chair. Great job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.